If the central character, the hero of a series of books, is a police detective, how would you picture him in your mind? Mysterious, dashing, sharp as a tack, someone who stays in the shadows, speaks very little, eats on the go, runs early in the morning or late at night, is most likely to be a loner. That's how most of the detectives are, aren't they, in all the thrillers that we read? And then there is Chief Inspector Armand Gamache of the Sûreté du Québec, the provincial police in Canada. He's nearly 60, happily married, father of two, grandfather of one, loves food and sit down dinners with friends. He's fit, but his idea of exercise is a leisurely walk with his dog. He may be the antithesis of the stereotypical detective, but don't make the mistake of underestimating him. He is sharp as a tack and solves murders and mysteries and manages to have a life too. He's the hero that heroes from other novels want to be when they grow up. I bring you the Chief Inspector Gamache series by Louise Penny. Let's switch on the reading lamp. Hello, I'm Asaveri, and on this channel, I review books and talk about reading in general. Let's have a look at the publishing details of today's book series.
Facts and figures.
The first book in the series, Still Life, came out in 2005. Since then, like clockwork, there has been a new book almost every single year, though there was no new release last year. The 18th book, A World of Curiosities, was released in 2022, and the 19th one, The Grey Wolf, is slated to be released this month on the 31st of October. All the books are available in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle formats. I only have the Kindle copies of the series because I've often ordered and downloaded a book at 2 a.m. after finishing the previous one because I couldn't wait to start the next one. That should tell you something. As for audiobooks, so far I've only found one on Audible India. I have no clue if they are available elsewhere. I won't waste your time listing all the books because you can easily find that information online. Start with the first book, Still Life, and take it from there. Let's jump straight into that first book and also talk about the things that are common to all the books. As usual, no spoilers, no worry. Just
The cover story.
the first book, Still Life, introduces us to Three Pines, the tiny, idyllic village in Quebec, Canada. It's called Three Pines because of, surprise, surprise, the three towering pine trees that stand at the center of the village. It's a small, close knit community where everyone knows everyone else and most of their secrets. On the surface, it's a tranquil, peaceful place where nothing much happens. But that changes one morning when an elderly, retired school teacher is found dead, killed by an arrow. It's hunting season, and the locals would rather believe that it was an accident. But Chief Inspector Gamache knows that it's not. When he is assigned to the investigation, as he is making his way to the village, Gamache discovers that Three Pines doesn't show up on any maps or even on the GPS. It's as if the village doesn't exist. It's a beautiful, quaint place, but people usually find it by accident. That is how some of the residents ended up living in Three Pines. They came across the village by accident, fell in love with it, and decided to stay. The Chief Inspector Gamache books are also known as the Three Pines books because the setting for most of them is the village, and there are a number of recurring characters who live there and feature in all the books of the series. Like there is Clara and Peter Morrow, the artists living in the village. There's Rus Zardo, an eccentric old woman. Myrna, the bookshop owner. Olivier and Gabri, who run the local bistro, and so on. As Gamache starts investigating the death of the school teacher, he finds that there are many secrets and layers to the seemingly simple village and its residents. He's joined in the investigation by his second in command, Inspector Jean Guy Beauvoir and Isabelle Lacoste of the Sûreté du Quebec. This is the team that we will see coming together to solve many cases, but the linchpin is undoubtedly Gamache. As with the previous episode on a detective book series, if you haven't watched that, check out the link up there. That is a brilliant series too. Let me give you three reasons for why you must explore this book series.
Speaking my mind.
The number one reason would have to be Chief Inspector Gamache himself. This is one of the most well written and likable characters I've ever met. He is dashing in a mature way. He's not someone you swoon over. He's solid, and you would probably wish your own boss would be like that. Loyal, fiercely protective of his team, and a role model. He's the perfect mentor because he allows you to think for yourself and applauds you when you do something right and corrects you gently when you don't. Because he's not a young man, you might wonder if he's somewhat like Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot. The Gamache books have won several Agatha awards, but Gamache and Poirot have very little in common except their intelligence. Especially the fact that Poirot is a lonely man, while Gamache is a complete family man. The relationship between Gamache and his wife of 32 years, Rain Marie, is warm and comforting. It is something to aspire to. She's a librarian and good at her own work, and Gamache truly appreciates her for her qualities and her love and support. In one of her interviews, Louise Penny has talked about the unusual characterization of Chief Inspector Gamache. She says that she started out creating him in the typical lonely, aggressive police detective format. Then she suddenly had an epiphany. She realized that she was the writer. She was the one who had the power to make him into whatever kind of a person she wanted him to be. Why should she make him a stereotypical character that she herself doesn't like? So she decided to make him the kind of person she would like him to be, and that's how he turned out to be. He's intelligent, he's dedicated, he's kind, but he's also not a pushover. He stands firmly against anything that goes against his moral grain. She says she was very happy with herself and congratulating herself for creating such a wonderful character when one day she happened to look up and across the breakfast table at her husband. And she realized that Gamache was basically her husband Michael and that she wasn't such an original writer after all. That interview endeared Gamache and Louise Penny both even more to me. Reason number two, the setting. The setting for the books is stunning. Three Pines is not a real place, obviously, but it is a composite created from multiple such communities in Quebec. It's not just about the geography, no doubt the location, the climate, the layout are all enticing. But the people who live there are just as interesting. There's a sense of community and deep friendship that makes you want to be part of it. You want to live in Three Pines. And the food. Mwah. The books are full of descriptions of breakfast, lunch, dinner, especially at the bistro run by Olivier and Gabri, that literally have me drooling. Louise Penny makes me want to cook all sorts of elegant dishes and whip out my best cutlery and set the table and light a few candles for effect, or at least make myself a cup of hot cocoa to sip on while I finish reading the book, because cooking would involve putting the book down, which is very hard to do. I should tell you, I remember I bought the first book on 16th of January last year. By the end of April, in about 3.5 months, I had finished all 18 books. I was consumed by the series. I talked about the books with anyone who would listen and got a number of my friends hooked onto it, all of whom have now finished reading the series too. So that's fair warning to you. And finally, reason number three, the stories and the quality of writing. Every book has a murder, a main mystery that is solved by Chief Inspector Gamache and his team. There is suspense, there is action, There is a lot of tension. But before the Gamache books, I wouldn't have thought that you could have a murder mystery that is not only thrilling but also a clean read. There is very little blood and gore or nauseating violence or sex in the entire series. I would say it's an amalgamation of various genres. The stories are character driven and the plots are just as strong. The mysteries are intriguing and intelligent and keep you hooked till the very end. It's murderous mysteries meets literary fiction meets food writing. You can read the books as standalones because the mystery in each book is independent and most of the relevant background information, even for the recurring characters, is written into the plot. Having said that, I would highly recommend reading them in the order of publication. The reason is that the characters of all the recurring characters develop through subsequent books. Their personal stories progress, relationships evolve, situations change, and that I think is a very important part of the appeal of the books. If you think you cannot take on all 18 books, you don't need to. It's not necessary because the mystery in each book is solved completely in that book itself. You are never left hanging. So, whenever you wish, pick up just one book and read it. But I recommend that you pick them up in the order of publication to get the most pleasure out of reading. One more thing to remember is that some of the books have different titles depending on the country of publication. I think it's just two. The second book itself is titled A Fatal Grace in some places and Dead Cold in others. The fourth book is titled A Rule Against Murder in some places and The Murder Stone in others. I have no idea why that is so, but just make sure you don't buy the same book twice. Also, for this series, if you have a Kindle, I would definitely recommend buying the Kindle versions. They are very well formatted, there's no loss in reading pleasure, and their cost is almost half that of the paperbacks. Money saved is money for more books, right? Now it's time for
Quote unquote.
Gamache tells these four sayings to every person he mentors, and he himself learned them from his own mentor. I'm not quoting but paraphrasing when I say that, according to Gamache, these are four sentences which are important for a person to use in their interaction with others. The four sentences are: I was wrong, I'm sorry, I don't know, and I need help. Isn't that amazing? Gamache may have been referring to a professional setting, but really, these four sentences can improve communication in any setting. Imagine the pressure that you let go of when you allow yourself to admit any of these things. I love it. And now I'm again going to apply the Linescape rating system to a book series as a whole rather than a single book. Every book is different, but here the focus is on the qualities of the books collectively.
LINEDSCAPE Rating.
You know that Linescape is an acronym for the 10 factor rating system that I have devised. You can find a link up there or in the description below to a more detailed video about it. You can check that out. So here goes. L for language, 9 on 10. Note, it's Quebec, so there are many French words and phrases and names of people and food interspersed throughout the books. But you don't have to know French to enjoy the books. I love the books and I don't know any French, which you probably guessed from my atrocious pronunciations. I've tried my best, but my apologies to all francophones. I for impact, 8 on 10. N for novelty, a series that straddles many genres, 9 on 10. E for engagement. Once I started reading, I stopped only when I reached the end of the last book, 10 on 10. D for descriptions. They are the best part of the book, really, 9 on 10. S for sense, also known as logic, 9 on 10. C for characters, mwah, 9 on 10. A for aesthetics. 8 on 10. P for plot, 10 on 10. E for enjoyment, 10 on 10. That gives us a total score of 91 on 100, which translates into 5 well justified stars. Have you read the series? Would you like to? Let me know in the comments below. Also, tell me if you've read it, who besides Gamache is your favorite character? I should mention that there is a movie called Three Pines in which I was absolutely disappointed in the actor cast as Gamache. There's also a web series in which Alfred Molina plays Gamache, which, in my opinion, is perfect casting. But I didn't like the mixing up of different stories and additions which were made. I stopped watching after one or two episodes. So that's that. Now it's time to vote my thoughts.
In a nutshell,
The Inspector Gamache books by Louise Penny are the complete package. They are clean, intriguing murder mysteries that have interesting plots and well rounded characters. The writing is superb, and the descriptions of food are drool worthy. If you're in a reading slump, pick up the first book in this book series, which rates 5 stars on my Linescape rating system. I bet you will race through the entire series and be out of your reading slump in no time. Now it's time for me to go. I upload a fresh episode every week. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell icon so you never miss an episode. And please share with your friends and family. The more, the merrier. This is Asavri signing off for now, and until the next time, have fun under the reading lamp. Switch on, read on.